Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Kaufman is Alive. I look at comic books new and old. Today I'm looking at a new comic book, Ultimate Wolverine #1 by Marvel Comics. This is the comic book kind of kicking off the second year of the Ultimate Universe. So I've been really looking forward to this one. Over on my YouTube channel, I actually put it to a vote as to what the next comic book would be that I covered. It was Absolute Superman #3, Rogue the Savage Land #1, Ultimate Wolverine #1, and other or classic comic. So there's 13 votes total, and at 54%, Ultimate Wolverine won out. So if you voted for Absolute Superman or Rogue the Savage Land, don't worry, I will get around to reviewing those. So if you like videos like this, if you like my content, please go to my channel, subscribe, like the video, turn notifications on. I do try to post every day, so I'll have those videos out soon, those reviews of those other comics, and I'll get back to some classic comics soon too. But first, today we've got a new comic book. Like I said, Ultimate Wolverine. This is one that I've been looking forward to a lot. Alessandro Capuccio's doing the artwork here. I love how the Ultimate Universe comics have a full cover on the interior here, just showing the artwork without any logo or anything. They've been doing that per my recommendation, I feel like, because I was complaining from the outset of this Ultimate Universe how these covers were kind of the artwork was obstructed by the big branding logo around it here. So I like that they've been adding the artwork to the interiors, and I keep forgetting to get variant covers because they've always got the A cover on the interior. I got the A cover on this one, and I'll read the little blurb here to get you caught up if you don't know what's going on here in the Ultimate Universe. It says the Eurasian Republic, ruled with an iron fist by the ruthless triad of Colossus, Magic, and Omega Red, has become one of two places in the world for all known mutant activity. So, and this is me here. I guess they're kind of referring to Japan, which is going on over in Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men. So it goes on, it says the trio have created Directorate X, a secret division of the government that seeks to exploit the unique genetic powers exhibited in mutant kind, headed by Alanya Prostovich. But no power exists without its checks and balances. A covert group called the Opposition arose to free mutants from experimentation and Republic control. So right off the bat there, I kind of assume that the Opposition is going to be some X-Men that we've seen before. And I'm proven right here a little bit later. So the writer here is Chris Condon, and he's not anyone I'm familiar with, really, any of his work. I looked it up. I guess he's done that Texas Blood, which is not something I've read, and I think he's done some DC work as well. But like I said, I don't know his work, but this was a fine comic book as far as the storyline goes. If not a bit generic as far as this character goes, this Wolverine is basically a mashup between the Winter Soldier and Wolverine, kind of in a sense, as since we've got the evil triad of mutants in control of Russia, they've taken Logan captive here and turned him into their Winter Soldier since they're in Russia. So, but it is Logan. We do learn that. We see him jumping out of a plane here. I like the way that this is portrayed so you can see him coming closer and closer, but they actually break the panels. So there's a little bit of time lapse there. Now I think this right here is a flashback because it's coming out of Wolverine's mind, it looks like, as he's jumping down. And this is him being hunted by these Russian forces here, and they're talking about how there'd be no survivors from this airstrike, but there's this one survivor. And even though they shoot him point blank in the head, we learn that he survived, and he can jump out of a plane. So I mean, this version of Wolverine is ultra powerful. He is definitely ultimate. So we've got Mystique here and Nightcrawler pretty obviously. I like the haircut on Mystique here. I think it actually looks pretty good on her. And we see this confrontation. We see the beginning of it, and then we kind of flash back. I do like the way that they're telling the story here because it is a bit confusing. It kind of shoots all over the place, but it keeps the pace going, and we're just getting little bits and pieces of Logan's past here throughout the book. It kind of feels like it's coming from a fragmented mind. So now we're here and we're seeing when after they've captured Wolverine here, or Logan, and they put him in this stasis pod here. They explain that he hasn't talked since they picked him up. So I mean, he does have speech, although he doesn't actually say anything in this issue, which I think is kind of interesting. And we see he kind of marks his chamber with an X in blood here, which is pretty cool. Alessandro Capuccio, the artist here, I am familiar with. I've been following his work on Moon Knight, and I think he's done an excellent job on that book, and I really like the artwork in here. There's some really specific panels I like. I like this one here with looks like an animal trying to come at these guys here. I like the claw going through this guy's mouth and his cheek. That's brutal looking. But we learned that Nightcrawler and Mystique recognize this Winter Soldier, Ultimate Wolverine here. They seem to have some sort of a past. So that's some of the most interesting stuff in this book, I feel like, is the stuff we don't see. Is more interesting to me than some of the stuff we do see, which seems kind of like something we've done before, almost like a mindless Wolverine killing machine. This seems like water that we've treaded before. Even they're kind of mashing him up with the Winter Soldier. That's kind of new. Even the face mask and design of Wolverine is kind of something we've seen before back in the, if you remember the Heroes Reborn Avengers run, there was the Hawkeye that had the similar Wolverine mask that actually was later revealed to be Logan. So he's kind of got that same look here. But Mystique turns into Colossus here. She's trying to use this big gun as well. And Wolverine sniffs her. And, you can tell that she realizes this is going to not be a good fight, but she tries her best. Wolverine slices her right through the neck here, apparently killing Mystique. These are some of the panels I really like here. This whole page is pretty cool. I love how the claws are like cross-hatching in between each other there, with Mystique just laying in the background. And the colors in this book too go really heavy on just like black and red. Shout out, see who the color artist is here, Bryan Valenza. I think he does a really good job here. They're kind of muted colors, but the palette is really well put together, I feel like. And all the blacks in here throughout this entire book, they're not just like computer generated, pure blackness. You can actually see a lot of the sketch lines from Alessandro Capuccio in here. There's a couple pages near the end where this one right here, like all the blacks, like on Wolverine's hand here, you can see all the little sketches in here to make it black. It's not just like dropped in with, if you know what I'm saying. Like you can see all the little sketches here coming out of the building. Just really, really good stuff. So we see here, this is Wolverine, them basically adding the adamantium skeleton to him. They've shaved his hair off. We've learned that they've actually tried to do this once before, which I wonder if that's going to come into play in a future issue. Maybe that's Lady Deathstrike or somebody else who we haven't seen yet. Again, some of the stuff we don't see in this book is kind of the more interesting stuff. Same with, Nightcrawler explaining to Wolverine that, he knows who he is. They clearly have a past here. And Nightcrawler does what he can to try and survive against this ultimate killing machine. He grabs a weapon, teleports everywhere, trying to shoot at him. But ultimately, Wolverine stabs Kurt right through the abdomen there. He says, "If you're in there, my friend, I pray you have the strength. I'm sorry we weren't quick enough. We came back for you. We would always come back for you." And then he dies. So you got to wonder if any of this is getting through to Logan. Again, kind of a generic plot. I mean, we know he's a mindless killing machine, and we see more of him being created here, kind of a Clockwork Orange being done on him as he's being told who his enemies are, Mystique and Nightcrawler. But you know he's in there somewhere. He's processing everything that's happening to him, even though we've been told his mind's been wiped. You know, he sniffs the blood of Nightcrawler here, and I think obviously by the last pages we see the prayer that Nightcrawler was reciting as he was battling Wolverine here. And you got to wonder if it's all getting through to Logan. So we see the prayer that this was apparently recovered from this raid on the church that we just saw. And this is kind of a neat page here. It's a prayer that Nightcrawler has written about all of his friends who have died and Wolverine specifically, as he's saying, I miss my friend, as I'm sure we all grieve for those we hold dear. He'll remain in my heart and survive in my soul. And then at the end he goes on, he says, he gave me a name, a pet name. I pray I remember it always. He called me Elf. So obviously this is a note from Nightcrawler about Wolverine here. So we also learn there's a telepath that's basically controlling Wolverine as well. They just mention it here. And I have to wonder if that's going to end up being Jean Grey or, another telepath like Charles or somebody that we're familiar with. So I like everything they set up in here. We don't get a whole lot of, insight into the actual character of Ultimate Wolverine. We just kind of learn where he's come from, and we get bits and pieces of his past. So some interesting setup here. I definitely recommend picking this up if you've been a fan of Wolverine. It definitely adds to, I feel like, the legacy of Wolverine. And if you haven't been reading the Ultimate line, I feel like this is a good jumping on point. It doesn't feel like you need to know much about what's been going on in the other Ultimate books up to this point. Kind of a fresh start and a cool design, good artwork. Pretty much like everything about this book. So it was $4.99. So go out to your comic book shop, pick it up, read it on the Marvel app, do whatever you got to do. Go read comics.